Hi, this is Clarise Starling, and you're my severance package. I thought maybe I should start doing videos cataloguing the growth and breadth of my record collection, if anybody would be interested in that. So you guys are lucky enough today to be witnessing not 1, but 2 months worth of record growth for June and July of 2019. But how can you know how good my music taste is when the set looks like this? Huh. Now that's set dressing.
Move your chair out of the way for that one.
Now that's set dressing. So starting the month off strong is the 2017 re-release of Abasement, Dancing is Depressing. It was a run of 1,000 records, repress of the 2010 album, like with all of the extra songs and everything, and it's really pretty coloured vinyl. Continuing that strong start is the Giles vinyl pressing. It's one of the most expensive records I've ever actually had to buy because I decided to go for the rarest one, the mint clear haze, whatever. But the benefit of buying such a disgustingly expensive record is that it comes with it's a book of all of the photography and poetry. It's a great, like, dark gothic folk album, if anybody's into that kind of stuff. Moving on, we went to Margate earlier in June, and so I've got a few records which I picked up from there. First one of which is The Sads. We had to actually best guess what this album was called. It's called Rough Stabs, I think, because there's no information about this at all online. It says it's limited edition. I don't know if there's a regular edition, and I don't know why it's limited, but it's there, and it's one of the worst albums I've heard in a very long while. Imagine really shit emo, but with something out of tune in every song, and it changes with each song what's out of tune. And this is the album for you, if you can find a fucking copy online, because we don't even know what the songs are called. Yeah, and then from a first-hand record store, there was a sale going on. I can't remember the name of the store, but X-Cult Cigarette Machine EP, second half of Ticey Gal's hardcore band Gogs is made up of X-Cult Guy, Mr. X-Cult, and then Slaughterhouse Beach Dog Welcome. This is Jake from Modern Baseball's band after Modern Baseball broke up. And based on that, it sounds exactly how you would imagine it. It's a very okay late 2010s indie rock album. It's alright. And lastly, a bit of an odd one by on its own, but Odd Entrances was on sale with the flexi disc and everything, coloured vinyl and all of that. I don't have weird exits, so I've got like part 2 and no part 1, but it's the OCs, it's good, psychedelic kind of. Whenever my sister finds records in charity shops, she lets me know about them, and these were all from one, my sister doing a run, and so we have Parallel Lines and Bridge Over Troubled Water. They were £1 each, they're both scratched to shit, but you've got to have them in your collection, so there they are. But I saw one of the spines said Oasis, and it looked like a shitty beat-up 70s record, but check this shit out. Yeah, Smile for the Sun? Never heard of it. It's like country, folk, French, English, 70s. It was £1. It's not terrible. I don't think I'll listen to it very often, but here it is. It's worth it for the cover. The band currently listed as my favourite band would probably be Level Up, and so I am slowly trying to collect their entire discography, and as part of that, the Extra Wild 7-inch EP. It's 6 songs on one 45 7-inch disc. Each one's like a really crusty lo-fi, like bit of fuzz gold for like 1 minute and 10 seconds, and then it's over with. It's a good one. This next one was a bit of a gamble for me. I hadn't actually heard the album, but it's 3-Way Tie for a Fifth by The Spike is a Pipe Bomb. It was the 5th pressing, run of 232 on really nice black and blue vinyl. I just sort of saw this Planet X folk punk album for a relatively low price, listened to a couple of songs online and, you know, picked it up. And with that came these next 2 records, the first of which is a favourite of mine. I have it on CD and I've been looking for this for a really long time. It's Heartland by Owen Pallett. It's a great string composer, like keyboardist kind of guy. He does a lot of fusing neoclassical or contemporary composition techniques and loop pedal violin techniques with electronic music and singer-songwriter style stuff. And this is his more folky album, I think. In Conflict is the more electronic one, which I also have. If you're interested in his kind of style, listen to Ease for Estranged from this album. It's a really good example of the violin looping. But also from the same seller, I got Waves and Cloud Nothings. It's the most read album I've ever bought. It's just really fucking red. I always thought this housed my favourite Waves song, which is Nothing Hurts, which, ironically, written by Cloud Nothings. So, is it my favourite Waves song? Who knows? But since being able to give this album a much deeper listen, it is now one of my favourite Waves albums. Again, really good, like, power pop, lo-fi sound. A bit more nuanced than most of Nathan Williams' other stuff because of Cloud Nothing's contribution to it. So, yeah, give it a listen if you like the more pleasant songs from King of the Beach. Welcome to Cassette Corner Part 1. This is where I buy cassettes. First one, have a look at that snout. Songs in the Key of X was a compilation cassette of songs based on and used in the X-Files. It opens with the X-Files theme, whatever. But it's got a really interesting track listing. I wouldn't usually buy a soundtrack cassette of a TV serial. I really like the X-Files. But, you know, it's just ends up being a really good post-punk album, but based on the X-Files. So fuck it, you know? Second one, the Sonic Death Sonic Youth live recording cassette. This is really interesting. It's on Blast First Records, which is possibly my favourite record label. It was a record label established in the late 80s to release Sonic Youth albums in the UK. There's no track listing, it's just side A and side B, with people's best guesses as to where one song might be ending and where one song might be beginning. So it's a great, really industrial Sonic Youth recording. Cassette corner over! Get it out! This next one is a record! I went up to Sister A up in central London a while back. This is start of July, I think. Picked up Broadcast Tender Buttons, my favourite Folktronica album. Listen to this album, it's amazing. And I got Ty Segal's singles collection, so I picked this up because it has a load of singles from the sort of Melted Lemons era, and a bunch of songs that I didn't have, like Fuzzy Cat, which everybody needs, and a bunch of demo recordings. Really great early Ty fuzzy lo-fi, like garage rock bangers. Put it through your stereo slightly too loud, turn the subwoofer up, really piss off your parents. Guess what? Cassette Corner's back. It's Shonen Knife. Let's Knife. It's a Creation record 3-piece Japanese punk band. They're really happy, really great. This album has I'm a Cat on it. There we go. Bought it sealed from 1992. I thought it was really odd, but hey, I'll buy a 20-year-old cassette still in its packaging. From one of the oldest Thai records to one of the newest, Fudge Sandwich. As of when I bought this, it was the latest Thai solo album. Wait for next month for the next one. I really wanted this to be the British yellow and brown coloured record, but alas, they all have the same fucking label and they all cost the same fucking amount, so I ended up with the black one. Doesn't matter though, great cover album, loads of songs get sort of like Thai-ified. Neil Young, War, Funkadelic, John Lennon, all of that kind of stuff gets really kicked up the ass. You can tell what mood I was in that day because on the same day got 1000 Days by Wand. It was the only Wand album I needed to pick up other than Perfume. I think I have all of them now. With every segment we get closer and closer to the modern day. I bought Bride to Later by Nick Drake. Really big fan of Nick Drake. This was the Back to Black repress stuff. It was a really good sort of callback to the 60s versions of it. They all have direct from master rips of the albums as MP3 downloads and whatever. But this one has the textured sleeve from the 70s. And not the exact one, that'll be expensive. It's a new one. So if you like flutes and you like violins and you like some weird backing singers on some of the tracks, then this is the Nick Drake album for you. But in direct complete contrast, I got an unofficial repress of the Minutemen's live concert in San Fran in the 80s. Because it's unofficial, it's really pretty. It's light blue and black vinyl and all of that shit, but it sounds fucking killer. What's that? Can you hear it? It's Cassette Corner, picked up from the same seller. They're back, Sonic Youth. This is the Siccone Youth Whitey album. It was, again, the blast first cassette version of it, because why the fuck wouldn't I? Madonna covers by Sonic Youth. This album. And I also got Bjork debut, because have it on CD, why not have it on cassette? You'll know what this is. Planning for Burial Below the House version. This was, he wrote a black metal shoegaze, gloomgaze sounding ass album, and then decided it wasn't gloom enough, buried it under his fucking house, put it on his fucking dashboard. This boy's a madman! So this was the first release of it on red cassette, one of 110 made, and I've been waiting to pick it up for 2 fucking years. It sounds exactly how I described it. Think of a gloomy, black metal-y shoegaze album, and then kill the sound quality, compress it to shit, muddy that boy, and then turn your stereo up. Gary Newman. It was cheap. It has cars on it. So when you Google Guided by Voices, if you're not immediately met with Alien Lanes, then you get this, B1000. Often hailed as their best album. I hadn't heard it before, but I like 33 1/3 books, and on the back of a bunch of them it has B1000. So what did I go and do? I went and I spent way too much money at once, and I got the 33 1/3 and the album itself, so I could sit, have a read, have a listen. It's 90s lo-fi, lots of really short, fantastic tracks, all thrown together, and Ben Pollard absolutely loved Wire. What's not to like? But at the same time, I decided to absolutely ruin my pocket, and I got Wowie Zowie, Pink Flag, Double Nickels on the Dime, and Beat Happening. I'd already read Beat Happening, but I wanted a copy of it. If you didn't know what the 33 1/3 are, they're books about albums, basically. They're 100 to 200 pages of information and opinion based on seminal albums according to the authors. So look up the list. There's definitely going to be at least one of them that you'll really like. And if you're British, go into Foyles. Buy one, get one half price. Fuck it, £15. £15! Oh no! It's last week. And these are the records I got. Public Image Limited, Flowers of Romance. It's post-punk, but like really post-punk. Early 80s. Sex Pistols went on to be this. Lots of amazing percussion on this album, but it sounds exactly how it looks, to be honest. Really dark, really manic, but also heroin. At the same time, I blew up my pocket by buying Pink Flag. This is the 1977 Harvest first pressing with green labels. I spent 20 minutes walking around a shop holding the photocopy fake sleeve going, this has been on my turntable, on and off, for all of the time since I've owned it. It's quickly become one of my favourite punk albums. Producer Mark Thorne put loads of thought into the order, so every song immediately complements and contrasts the last song. The lyrics are genius, the music is genius, it's minimalism in punk form incarnate. give it a listen if you like any of the words I just said. I always blur the line between the end of the month and the start of the month because I count owning a record as when it arrives. So if I order an album before the month ends, then I don't technically own it until it arrives at my door. And so this is technically the last album I bought this month. It's Superfuzz's Big Muff. Basically, this is what told Nirvana to make grunge in the late 80s. Sub Pop number 22, I think, so that tells you how early it is on the Seattle underground scene. You know, it's named after two fuzz pedals. What can go wrong? Well, that's all I have for you this month, and last month. This has been the double-length June-July record collection thing. If you have any suggestions for me based on what I've bought this month, anything you think I should listen to, anything you think you should listen to, let me know in the comments, or don't. I don't know. I've been Clarise Starling. Thanks. Bye. I've said lo-fi 7 times in this recording. Yeah.